Oh, damn it. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I am, of course, one of your hosts, Dkon, here with the very, very mysterious.
SOS, and here with the crazy and wild and dark Haywire.
Haywire.
Uh-oh,
Eh,
is
eh,
her
Yeah,
is her internet
n-
messed up right at the intro?
well,
Oh,
It
it
probably is.
no, you know what it is? It's just you have to listen to the show with your heart.
Yeah, you just kind of know.
You just gotta. Anyways,
that's
guys,
what it is.
so we have an exciting show. I can't stop smiling. I feel so stupid. Um, can you please tell us what today's episode is about?
Well, we decided to do an episode on some myths and legends of El Salvador, right?
The
I can't
jungle,
Ooh.
say it with your
El, El Salvador.
yeah, that machismo kind of.
Hey, how dare you? There's no machismo here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so say it again.
Salvador.
See, can't do that. I don't
Yeah,
have
I'm gonna
that.
butcher
Ma,
it too.
ma,
It's
ma,
fine.
ma,
Can't, can't roll
machismo,
the R's.
machismo.
Yeah.
Women, right? Am I right, fellas? Women. Jeez.
Shit. So, Haywire, do you want to start with one of your ghost stories or legends that you maybe?
Oh, I just had a news story because I
And,
thought Dkon was gonna
oh,
introduce
you just have
us
the
to
news story.
all
That's
this.
fine.
Okay, well then,
Yeah.
okay. So let's just this is what we're gonna
Okay.
do. You're gonna bring me a legend, and then I'll explain. Not just
Okay.
okay, so we'll do that. Let's just roll.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's do this.
We're
So,
crazy
how about
people, right? We're crazy people.
we're
Let's just
crazy?
do
We're
it.
crazy.
Woo!
La Rona? La Rona?
Oh, La
How do you say
Llorona?
it? Oh God, La Llorona. I can't do the R's. I can't do the R thing. I'd have to
Okay,
have a lot of
so
alcohol.
La Llorona. So La Llorona, that's more like people have heard about her like in Central America, but that's mostly like Mexico derived. So depending like where you're at in El Salvador, like if you're close to the border, like Guatemala, and somebody says La Llorona, people will be like, okay, yeah, I know very little about her. So let's skip her because that sucks. We can do La Siguanaba.
About her now. She's a sad, ghostly woman
Yeah,
who can be
it's
heard crying.
well, yeah, it's dumb. Okay, so the story, several different stories. So yeah, we're gonna start it off. Hey, this dumb bitch. No, so the story goes. There's a lot of different versions of the story. One of them goes that she fell in love with this man that was like of a high status, and she was like this lonely peasant girl, and they fell in love. They engaged in the act that gives you reproduction. She had kids. He was ashamed of her. He kind of like kept her secret. He kept her hidden. Like, I don't want anybody to know.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, okay.
yeah, kept her hidden. And then one day they asked him about those kids yours, and then he's like, no, I don't know these kids. So then she was so filled with sorrow that he denied his kids. She took them to the river and drowned them. So now her ghost is now goes through all the rivers out there looking for her children because she's just I don't know. So she's like, mis hijos. So she's going, and people are like, oh, my Llorona's coming. And if you're that's one of the stories. I'm sorry, and I'm going everywhere. That's one of the versions of the story. The other version of the story was that she had, she was a woman and she got with this guy and they were married, and then he had a side piece. He's got that side piece. You know what's up? He's got
Naturally.
yeah, he's got that side piece, and he's like so. Anyways, she finds out about the sad piece. Yeah, side piece, and she gets so angry that she takes the kids to the river and drowns them, and then drowns herself. And then in the afterlife, she was cursed, and they're like, "You will forever wander. The only way for you to find peace is for you to find your children that you drowned in the river." So that's what she's looking for, is her children, and she'll take. So in certain places in Mexico, when you're driving past rivers, a lot of people are superstitious, so that they tell the kids like, remember to stay with me, stay looking at me because La Llorona's gonna come and take the kids. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was reading, is that she'll
Yeah,
take the kids. It's a
yeah.
threat to the
She'll take the
children to
kids, and
stay
then and
close.
and then also like moms will tell their kids, if you don't go to bed, La Llorona's gonna come, and then La Llorona's gonna take you away. And
Yeah, the
it's
boogeyman. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the boogeyman. I mean, look at the Russians. The Russians, what do they have? Baba Yaga. So Baba Yaga, he's gonna come. He's gonna take the kids. If you don't behave. In El Salvador, they have the coyote. My mother used to sing me this song. They just say, "Si no te dormís, te va a llevar el coyote." It's basically saying, "O te va a comer el coyote." And basically, it says, if you don't fall asleep, the coyote's gonna come and eat you. So
Oh, that's pleasant.
We
Why
just
are
love
all
what
kids'
mothers do.
songs like lullabies just terrifying?
yeah, and just that's it. So, anyways, that's La Llorona. I don't know much
Okay,
about her. That's
so
it.
that's that one. El Tabudo?
El Tabudo. El Tabudo is okay. So El Tabudo is really popular around places where there's a lot of fishermen. So where there's a lot of fishermen, uh, people will be like, "Hey, don't go fishing at night because El Tabudo." He's also known as El Hombre con las Grandes Rodillas, the man with the really big knees. So they say he has his knees and the size.
Yeah, what's a knee?
I don't know what it is. So that's why I always say, like, if a man came into town with tumors, they would probably be like, "Oh, be careful, that guy's gonna steal your soul." So there's two versions. There's two versions of that story that I've heard. There might be more. One of the versions is that this man was like a very wealthy fisherman, and he was purposely poisoning the water or doing something so that he was the only one catching fish. And then one day, this water spirit came by and then turned him into that monster, and he would be cursed to forever, chase away fishermen. So that's one of the stories. And
And
then,
I also read that he'll lure his victim out
yep,
to sea,
yep, he'll lure them
and
out to sea.
then and he
That
yeah, and he will turn the men into large, colorful fish, and the
fish.
women
Yep,
into sirens.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Ooh.
that's what that's what I was gonna say. So this guy, the second part of the legend is that he was given like he was in charge of like keeping the peace, and if you were like a very evil person, you were very selfish, he would turn the men into rainbow fish, and then the women he would turn them into sirenas, into sirens.
Ooh.
So
And
and
you
they
have very good artwork of a siren mermaid. So just so you
ooh
know, people
oh
need to
oh
check out our
Plug that.
our
yeah, yeah,
yeah
don't yeah, don't
our
do it.
merch site, because that's yeah.
Yeah, don't do it. So also another there's a lot of different versions of that, of his appearance. Some people say he looks like a fish man. He's got like scales and everything. Another version just says that he just has a hat and he's got like these super long legs that they see him like hunched over like on the boat, and his knees like go past his head. That's how tall, I don't know. So that's el tabudo. Um
Um, I don't know if there's a like a white dog,
okay.
a
Yeah,
legend.
yeah, yeah.
What is that one about? Because this one looked, yeah, this is
Oh,
interesting to me because
oh,
most legends are black dogs.
okay, so the story, this story is actually there's okay, so there's two versions of the story. There's the pre-colonial and then there's the post-colonial version. So the story is that the god Tlaloc saw that men were like were suffering in life and they needed help and they're being like victimized. So he created this white dog to help like protect people and like to encourage people and to bring good luck. And then the evil god Tlaxulaku created like a black dog to like combat the white dog, and this dog will basically like all those people that are wandering around at night, he'll go and he'll attack you. It's el cadejo, it's what it is. So at post-colonial, it became that God saw men were. It's the same story, only they just changed the characters and they kind of changed like who they go after. So El Cadejo will go after men that are drunkards. If you're wandering around at night and you're a drunkard, or you're a womanizer, or you're just wandering around at night, El Cadejo will appear and he will mess you up. and he has like black, he's got the black fur and he's got the red eyes and he's got the hooves. Sometimes he has hooves, sometimes he doesn't. He'll mess you up. He'll beat up your dogs. Here's a funny story. Okay, so when I was a kid, um, we used to live on this farm out in the mountains, right? And then we had this guy that was helping us on the farm, and he was like an older guy. A lot of the elderly people in El Salvador, they're like very knowledgeable with these kind of things. Like, oh, let me show you how to ward off. Let me show you. Oh, you know who's been coming around here? Well, let me tell you how. And that's what their role was. Not only were they helping you, but also they gave wisdom. So one our dogs got sick one day, and our dogs were wandering around. They're kind of messed up. And then this guy's telling us, like, you know what happened, right? And we're like, no, what happened? He's like, El Cadejo came and beat the shit out of your dogs. We're like, what? Because that's what they believe, that if your dogs are messed up, that he comes at night and then El Cadejo will just fuck up your dogs, just beat the shit out of them.
Oh.
So this guy was like, let me show you how to ward it off. And I was like, okay. He says, you take salt and you put salt in these areas where El Cadejo is to come. And then that way, when he comes in, he's going to be like, oh, I don't want to remain trapped here. So he'll just go somewhere else. So, man, it's just so the culture, years ago on my original podcast, I told you that in places like El Salvador, if you're not superstitious, like if you're a skeptic, people look at you like you're stupid. People are like, you're just an idiot. Like, oh, you don't believe in magic or anything like that? No, I don't. What are you, stupid? How they treat you. You're seen as the idiot. So
That's fascinating to me.
Right.
That
It's opposite
so
here.
180 different than
yeah,
America.
yeah. So our teachers in school, our teachers
Yeah.
would tell us because we'd always play soccer out until it got dark. We were barefoot. We were playing soccer out. We had this hard plastic ball, super hard. You kick it now, you hurt your toes. But as a kid, it didn't bother you. You were barefoot. You were running around on these rocks, stepping in. Your feet just, get used to it. So, anyways, so our teacher in health, he's the guy that kind of like, okay, kids, don't drink dirty water. They had a teacher that was like, just for your health, and he was like, I saw you kids playing last night. Don't be out there at night. El Cadejo's gonna come. And I'm telling you kids, it's not safe. You guys have to stay away. Somebody told me that they had a feeling, so you guys need to stay indoors. And then we're like, oh, okay. And if I catch you out there, you guys are gonna get in trouble. And it's like, oh, okay. And then that's just like the way that it was. So El Cadejo, so we're going back to the white dog. Okay, so the white dog is the one that brings good luck. And so if you're really lucky and you get attacked by El Cadejo, the black one, this white dog will appear. And the white one will fight the black dog. And as they're both fighting, it gives you a chance to escape. So also if you get attacked by, it's so stupid. If you get attacked by El Cadejo, they believe that you can actually get retardation. Like you can actually become like mentally handicapped. So there was
gosh.
so there was a guy in town who he was in a war and he had shell shock. He had like really bad. So he was nuts. And people are like, you know what happened to him, right? And it depends who you ask. Something different did that to him. So like if you ask, like, you know what happened to him, right? And I was like, no, what happened? My father told me, this guy was in a war. He got shot in the helmet and it messed him up. And then it was true. I mean, the guy was ex-military. So you're like, oh well, he was wandering around at night because he was a drunkard. And then El Cadejo came, and they say te jugó el Cadejo. A certain entity came and played with you, like basically like touched you, and they're like, lo jugó el Cadejo. So El Cadejo got him, and that's why he's having mental issues, and he's like that forever now. And so, yeah.
Fascinating, the superstition. No, I don't. I really don't. We lost that, right? Western civilization lost a lot of the superstitions that everyone grew up with.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is, so when I was a kid, they would tell these stories like, your grandpa, one day he was on horseback and he was riding on a horseback and El Cadejo came out and chased him up the mountain and he had to get free. He didn't have his cross to kind of like wave it. So post-colonialism, the remedy for El Cadejo changed. It was no longer, some people still, whoa, was that me? So some people they'll say like you throw. Some of the older people say like you gotta take salt and you gotta. That's like the old remedy, right? So the people, most majority of the people, they cross. You show them the cross, and then the Cadejo gets scared and he runs away. That's like post Catholic. Um, so the remedy kind of changed a little bit. So it seemed like with folklore, they started using it more like to try to moralize people. It no longer became like this is part of your heritage. It was more like a morality type of thing. You're doing things that the Catholic Church doesn't approve, and this is what you gotta. This is what you gotta do. And so
Well, it's easier for the Catholic Church to take over areas if they
yeah.
integrate what's already there. Like we
Well,
see that time and time again.
yeah,
Yep.
and that's a great point. So what the hell was I gonna say? Damn it, I lost my story because I got sidetracked. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, so when I was a kid, I believed I would get so scared. So one of the things that we did where we lived, we had no power, so like forever until my dad helped like put in power lines, and then eventually we got like you couldn't run a refrigerator on it. Um, it could only run like lights, like light bulbs, small light bulbs, but there was no power. So we had a candle, and you were just sitting around in the candle, just telling these scary stories. And you're sitting there, and you're just trembling. You're like, oh, it's like I had to take a piss, but not anymore, because you had to leave the house, walk and find an empty spot out in the field, and there's where you did your business. So I'm like, I'm not going out there. So why? So I could end up mentally handicapped? No thanks. So so then, as I became a teenager, I stopped believing. I was like, "How stupid! These legends are so stupid." But then, as I got older, and I got more into like folklore from like all around the world, and then tales, I'm like, "What are the odds that you have a legend of a black world? Oh, everything from Ireland to Scotland, United States. I mean, up in Canada, you had the Inuits, and those guys had a story of a black dog. You know, the black dog
A
emerged from
lot of
the ice.
truckers report. A lot of truckers report seeing a black dog.
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen it too. I
Have
saw.
you?
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but I was looking. I'm like,
Uh,
oh, I think that's El Cadejo, and I just kept walking.
we're gonna save the best for last. So let's do El
El,
Cipito. Cipito.
el Cipitio.
Cipitio. Okay.
Cipitio. Okay, so the story of El Cipitio is like, okay, who do we have at the end? Is it Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, that one.
Oh man,
What is it?
El Cipitio. So El Cipitio is the son of another legend that you probably are saving for last, La Siguanaba.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Cipitio is her son. He was cursed, and so was he. And the way that he was cursed was that his feet were turned backwards, and he has like this huge sombrero. Um, and he basically like, especially if you're there's a story of El Duende, which is like the elf or the goblin, whatever the hell you want to call it. And all those stories are interchangeable. But El Cipitio will find like, okay, damn, sorry, there's so much. I'm trying to recollect here. Okay, so he's got like a big belly. He appears and he shows up at your house to eat. He's got like a big stomach, and he's got his feet backwards so that no one can find him. So that when you chase after him, if he runs away, you don't know which direction he's going. So afterwards, you're like, his feet are back. Wait, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, my grandma, man, so we would cook, and we had like a little fire, and after the ashes were done, my grandmother would yell at me. She's like, "Throw those ashes out!" And I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." She says, "What? El Cipitio's gonna come and start eating them because El Cipitio comes to eat the ashes." So you see a lot of
Interesting.
people after they put out a fire, they're over there taking the ashes and they
I
scatter them
just
as as far away as possible. And if you're a girl, and that's the thing, is the story's interchangeable with another character. But I'm just gonna what I grew up
okay.
what I grew up with is if you're a pretty girl and you're walking, and not el cadejo, el cipitio sees you and he likes you, he'll follow you home, and he'll throw rocks at your house. He'll go around he's basically trying to court you. And the way for you to it's so stupid. Okay, the remedy is so ridiculous. So this is so okay. So I had in El Salvador, you have cousins and you have aunts and uncles, and a lot of them are almost your age because of the family. You know how big it is. So
Yeah.
I had an aunt. She was 13. She was 13 years old, and there was these weird noises around the house. Um, and then they're like, "El cipitio's out there because you're pretty," and and they're like, "Oh, it's terrified." Everybody in the house is nervous. They're like, "What's going on?" And my grandmother's like, "Don't worry, don't worry. Tonight, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go. First, you're gonna have to cut a chunk of your hair off, cut a chunk of your hair and look messy, okay? And then you're gonna go to the restroom area and you're gonna eat your dinner in there. You're just gonna sit there and you're gonna eat your dinner because he finds that very disgusting. And then after that, you're no longer gonna be appealing to him because you're gonna go out and he's gonna go find some." So my aunt sat there in the area where everybody goes to the bathroom, eating her dinner by herself,
Oh,
and you have to pretend like you're enjoying it. So
this is so good.
this is delicious. So she was sitting there like, "Ay,"
Oh,
she's sitting there like, "Qué rico, ay, qué delicioso," like, wow, no, está bien rico el plato, no, mamá, mira no, está rico, and she's over there like pretending to enjoy. And then after that, the noises stopped, and they're like, "See." So,
oh man.
so
No,
it's
no, that's just
huh?
okay. That I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't even pretend to enjoy that. So okay, so let's do the last. Say it.
La ciguanaba, ciguanaba.
Siguanaba.
Okay, so La Ciguanaba, that's what's interesting. La Ciguanaba appears like in the southern parts of Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Ecuador, Panama, Costa Rica, all those places, they all have like their versions of her. Some people call her La Ciguanaba, La Sucia, the filthy woman. They all have like different names for her, but they all describe the same entity. So La Ciguanaba, the word sigua comes from the Nahuatl language, from the old Mayan language from that region. Sigua means woman. Um, so the word, her original name was, that was her name, Siguawet, meaning beautiful woman. That was her because she was beautiful. She was so pre-colonial. Okay, so here we go again. Here we go with post and pre. Pre-colonial, uh, the god Talok uh, thought that she was so beautiful that he started to come down from his mountain just to court her, and then eventually he was like, "You're gonna be my woman." So he started like adorning her with all kinds of different things, like jewels, and then La Ciguanaba, La Ciguawet, she started sleeping with another guy from the town. So while he was away, he
Repeat
was,
mistake.
yeah, she was sleep. He cursed. So he gave her the curse and called her La Ciguanaba, horrible woman or ugly woman or hideous woman. Sigua, again, is the word for woman. So in El Salvador, you have certain plants that are, the plant is Ciguatalcle, I think is the name of the plant. And this plant, you can pluck it if you're a woman and you're having cramps and you chew on it, and it's supposed to like relieve cramps and all those kind of things. Um, a lot of people grow them in pots. Same thing with aloe vera. Aloe vera is everywhere. They call it savila. If you have a burn, they'll just cut off a piece, peel it, stick it on your body like it's one of those tattoos when you're a little
Use
kid.
it.
Um, when I was a kid, I was like, I was having stomach issues. I remember, man, I could live to be 100. So I was having like really bad stomach issues, and I was walking and my stomach hurt. And then this old lady, she says, "¿Qué le pasa? What's wrong?" And I was like, "Oh, me duele el estómago. My stomach hurts." And then she goes and she has like a plant. Plants have these tiny little leaves, and then she plucks the plant and she told me, "Chew on this." So I chew on it, and I start to projectile vomit, just hurling everywhere. And then she's like watching me. She told me to drink water, and she's like, "Do you feel better?" And I was like, "Yeah." So that's a so I mean that's the way that the culture's over there because people.
Which
Did you just call her a witch?
though she does a lot of wild things, right? So
Okay,
she
so Sorry, I'm kind of losing you
Does
here.
she
Okay, so sorry, I kind of got sidetracked in there. So okay, so she was cursed.
okay.
Okay, so she was cursed and she was turned into like this horrible woman. He was like, you're gonna be a whore, and for all of eternity, you're gonna seduce men. Hey,
I sounds like a very man.
uh, see, this is what am I doing on the show? This is why we should hate women. So
Bad dishwashers.
bad dishwashers, how dare you? Um, so so anyways, so her curse is oh, and also because she got pregnant by this guy that she slept with. She got pregnant by this guy, so he cursed the child too, and that's el cipitio. That's where el cipitio comes from.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
post
Makes sense.
post colonial, it was this woman that was she was an Indian woman. So hence the name Sigua, Sigua Wet, same thing. And she was dating like this Spaniard, whatever it was, and he was like a high ranking, and then she was also like sleeping around, she was never home, she wasn't there to cook for him, she wasn't there to take care of the baby. So then he prayed, and then God cursed her and turned her into that creature, so now she forever wanders. So the her curse is that she has to like seduce men and lead them to their death or just mess them up. So you in places there's a lot of water that could in the river, um, in places so in a lot of places in El Salvador they don't have running water, so they have what they call pilas, and pilas is this it's like this concrete little thing. It's got like a big square hole filled with water. You got to carry water and so then you take a bowl and there's empty spots. The concrete on there is so you clothes and you could wash it and you throw whatever you do. That's like, and there's a hole at the end and it kind of is at an angle. So that way all the water drains and it goes out. Those are called lavaderos. So they have these huge areas for all the women to come together and they all wash their clothes and they do women thing. They talk shit. They're annoying. Anyways, so uh, SOS. So
What a
anyways,
god.
so anyways, so if you're by a lavadero, if you're by like a river, what you see is, especially if you're a man that's a drunkard, or you're out there looking for women to seduce, and I'm like, I'm gonna go on an adventure, I'm gonna go find a woman to seduce. She appears to you and she has like her back to you and she's got this figure and the long black hair, you know, and some people say she doesn't make any noises, other people say that she hums this sweet song, and then she'll come and she'll barely turn around to look at you and she'll wave you over. She's like, come on. And the guys will be like, whoa, it's very seductive, very, very sexy. So she'll wave you over, and then as you get close, you're hypnotized. So you're hypnotized, and then she'll walk you towards the, and then as you're getting to the river, she turns around, either a skull, face of a hag, or and this is how you know it's post the second story, because the story is always she has like the skull of a, and
Yeah.
horses, pre-colonialism, those were brought from Spain,
Uh,
so that story
okay.
where she has the face of a horse skeleton it comes from, she was cursed by a man because he prayed to God, and then and then he's anyways. So she'll go and she'll drown you in the river. She'll go and she'll drown you in a river, or a lot of the times these lavaderos are hit by a big ditch, just a ditch. So she'll lead you over, and then if you realize what she'll throw you down the ditch and you'll die. If you're lucky, and you get away, you'll just have like a high fever. You'll be catatonic, or you'll be mentally retarded. So the same thing with that guy I told you earlier that was ex-military. With him, that's other people say, oh, one day he was drinking and he saw la siguanaba and he went after her and she did that to him. It's like, really? So you hear different versions, so anyways, so man, my experiences. Okay, here we go. Sorry. So
Get
yeah,
ready.
oh, I gotta get ready.
Loosen up, crack the neck. Here we
Yeah,
go.
crack the neck. Okay, so anybody that okay, so in El Salvador they make and sorry, this is tied into so the men go out to the fields to work like really early in the morning, like before the sun is up. At 5 a.m. They're out there. They're getting ready. They'll eat their breakfast, and the women will actually go to what's called un molino, where they just it's a mill. They'll take the corn, they'll make the masa, and they'll make tortillas out of it every morning. And if you've ever had like a Salvadorian tortilla when they're fresh, oh man, it's awesome. They're not like tortillas like the Mexican ones where you make tacos. They're thicker, and you make them in something called a comal. It's like this iron, like basically like now they make them specifically for it, but they would use things like sheet metal, like things like over the fire. That's how they make things. So, oh man, they're so delicious. Anyways, so the men would go and they would have their coffee, they would have beans, eggs, rice, in the morning as they eat, and then they leave. And then you wake up in the morning as you're getting ready to go to school and start your adventure, and you have the tortillas. They put it in a cloth. So like you have a cloth and it's folded over and it's like a tall, there's filled with tortillas, just nice and hot, and you enjoy your breakfast. So one day, I come out and I'm getting ready for my adventure, and then I notice that the guys, my cousins, and some of my uncles are still home, and I'm like, okay, like why is everybody here? And it was yeah, so I was like, all right, that's weird. So then I get my breakfast, and my grandmother brings out the tortilla and the beans, and if you've ever had a tortilla that's a day old, they're stiff, they're gross. You can't, even if you reheat them, they're disgusting. You don't want to eat them. And then I was eating them like, what is this? I'm like, what? Why? Why? Like almost like I'm so used to eating these delicious tortillas that it was almost offensive. And I'm like, yeah, okay, girls, what am I? All right.
Come on,
So
tell a
okay,
story.
so then I was like, abuela, mire, abuela, y por qué usted me está dando estas tortillas tiesas? Yo no puedo comer estas tortillas tiesas, ¿y por qué? Y yo no sé. So I was like, why are you giving me these hard tortillas? Like, why would you do this to me? Like, what have I? And then she said, we didn't go to the mill this morning. If you don't like them, don't eat them. That's it. That's all we got. So I was like, oh, all
Good,
right, I guess
good for
I'll
her.
get, it's tortillas, not that bad, I guess. So, anyways, I was like, they didn't go to the mill. Why didn't they go to the mill? I was like, that's weird. So anyways, so I'm getting ready to go to my adventure, and I'm going out there, and I noticed that a lot of the men are barely leaving the houses. And I was like, okay, why is everybody barely leaving? And I was like, hey, why is everybody home? And they're like, didn't you hear? Didn't you hear? And I'm like, no, nobody's saying anything. They heard La Siguanaba at night. So no one went to work because they're afraid that La Siguanaba's going to get them. So they waited for the sun to come out. And then as you're walking, you see all the men in that region barely coming out while the sun was out. So the women didn't go because they're like, it's too dangerous. We can't go. So like that's
So she made a noise because she was humming or singing or something.
so okay. So man, this is so some people say that she'll either hum, she'll sing, or she'll just scream at the top of her lungs.
Like a banshee.
Like a banshee, but not necessarily, almost like a banshee, but kids apparently can't hear it. Remember the
Like
banshee,
a banshee.
like a banshee. Is there a story that kids can't hear the banshee?
Yeah, well, she only comes to certain Celtic families.
Yeah,
Not all Celtic families
yeah,
can
and you're gonna
hear
die.
her,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's the precursor of death. Yeah,
yeah. But the
and I
Ciguanaba,
don't. Yeah, go
Ciguanaba,
ahead.
she's the one that's gonna kill you. So okay,
Uh,
that's one story. Okay, that's one story. Man, there's so because they sit there and they tell these horrible. Another story was my uncle worked at this construction site, right? And they were building. So there was this river that ran through that they wanted to build like little. They wanted to clean it up because it was dirty, and they hired like his crew to come and like start building things to help out. They were gonna build like drainage ditches to kind of get all that shit out of the water. So he was jeez, so stupid. He was telling me this story. It's not stupid, guys. So he was telling me this story about how they brought engineers from Argentina. You know, they were and it was beginning to El Salvador was becoming very industrialized. So they're bringing people from these regions, and sorry, um, so from these regions, and these people were from Argentina, and these were engineers. So my uncle, he's like telling them like, this is what we're gonna do, blah blah blah, and then we have this. They already set up the camp for the construction, and they set up a guy who was supposed to stay there and make sure no one stole anything. You know, so he's sitting there, and they came in the next day, and this guy was like catatonic. Also, he's like, oh man, you know, and he wouldn't talk. He finally they got it out of him, and he's like, we have to move this camp. We have to get it out of here. And then, and he said this to my uncle. He's like, ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué, Ignacio? ¿Por qué? Dígame, ¿por qué? He's like, and he's whispering to him. And he's like, oh. And he like just, and he's super nervous, and he's telling the other guys, and the other guys are packing up their shit. They're leaving. They're like, we're not doing this. So these engineers are from Argentina, and then they're like, what's happening? Oh, che, pero qué pasa? ¿Por qué se va? Pero che, mira, because that's how they talk in Argentina. They have this horrible accent that nobody likes Argentinians, idiots. Anyways, so so he asked them like, che, pero qué pasa? What's going on? What's happening? And then the guy's like, this place is territory of La Ciguanaba. And he's like, La Ciguanaba. He's like basically trying to, because he's never heard this. He's trying to reason, and he tells the other guy,
Like
and
it's
then
a
he's like,
gang or something.
no, that's not what he said. And then he said, so what is it? A snake? Did you kill it? Are we okay?
Oh.
Did it like is it where is it? Like where did you see it? You know,
Oh.
and then he explains to him, it's a specter that comes through. You know, and he
Oh.
explains the story, and then the guys are
Yeah.
like okay, we're not. And my uncle's like, we're not working here until we move the camp and we make it safe. And he's like, that's gonna take us weeks. We're gonna lose so much money. You can't. We're not working here unless we move the camp. So they spent.
Wow.
They lost so much money, not only moving the camp over, but making these crosses like out of concrete and putting them up and putting candles and putting to make that see. So then this older guy comes by and he says, "Don't worry, I'll make sure that she gets the message." So he starts walking around and he's biting his machete because that's a remedy for La Ciguanaba. Like
Oh.
if you wanted to go away, there's a lot of ways to do it. Yeah, look at Haywire. She's like, "What the hell are you guys smoking?"
I would bite it the wrong way. I wouldn't
You
bite
bite
it
it,
on
you
the
bite
back.
it, yeah.
Accidentally just cut
Give
myself.
yourself the
What I'm
split tongue.
thinking.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're sitting there and then you're biting the machete. You're
Yeah,
biting it,
no.
and I guess the sound of your teeth on the metal is like supposed to scare her. No, another remedy is you put your blade between your teeth and you walk like the phone. That was like post-colonial as you walk shaped like a cross, you know. So there's like a lot. Okay, and okay, next story. That was at the end of that story. Another story is the same guy that told us about El Cadejo. Like, oh, El Cadejo was here and he's beating up your dogs. That same guy, we worked in, like, remember how I told you there's dark and then you know this, that there's dark and there's country dark. So
Yeah.
it's the same over there, only there's no power anywhere. So that's dark. Like there's no source of light nowhere. So
Yeah.
me with this guy, we're with a flashlight and he's like, all right, there's a river about 2 kilometers that way. So you're gonna help me. And I'm like, what am I doing? He says, but first, we're gonna take some mustard seeds in our pocket. Just fill up your pockets with mustard seeds. I have some in my bag. Hold on, let me get my backpack. So he gets backpack. He hands me these mustard seeds to put in my pocket. And I'm like, why? He says, if La Ciguanaba comes, take them out of your pockets and throw it at her. And I was like, why? Okay, see, why do I tell these stories? Haywire's over
Oh,
there.
they're amazing.
So,
Huh?
so you throw these mustard seeds, and this is like familiar with other. You're probably gonna be like, wait a minute. So let's see. Wanava has to stop and start counting these
Counting the
mustard
seeds.
seeds. Starts counting the
Yep.
seeds, and she has to count them and put them into her skeletal hands. And because the seeds are so tiny, they just go right through her hands. So she sits there, and that gives you an opportunity to get out of there. So you take these mustard seeds,
Uh-huh.
and you
That's
throw.
pretty cool.
And then me and him were walking. Oh, geez, we walked for, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 hours around the field in the dark with a machete, just biting the machete, going around in huge circles to let her know, like, hey, we're not playing games here, lady. You know?
What's that?
Oh wow.
Yeah, hey, what's up, fool? We're not playing no games here. Come around and bite my machete. So, anyways, so what's insane is that these stories are told and are taken very serious, obviously. You know, and
Today, even still, I mean,
yeah, even to this
you,
day, they have
yeah,
power, they have the internet, they have all kinds of things, but still, like people, you can go on YouTube and then you could type in, Siguanaba sightings, and then people will be telling their stories. There I was, and that Siguanaba appeared, and it's just one of those things where even now, like as an adult, I don't, I'm kind of like on the fence with it because like, what are the odds that there's like so many entities that like resemble La Siguanaba, that you can research, and it's almost the same story. Same thing with the mustard seeds, like all kinds of
right.
different things, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I buy it, but then I'm by a river. I better take like mustard seeds in my pocket just in case.
It's kind of like, does the superstition feed the story, or does the story feed the superstition? And it's just a cycle of, you have the belief system, and I mean, my grandpa, who drank a lot of whiskey and spoke actual Gaelic, and he had me convinced I saw a leprechaun. Now, did I see a leprechaun? I don't know. I was too young to drink the whiskey, so I don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But to this day, I remember where exactly we're standing, exactly everything, the atmosphere, the night, the moon, and I forgot I saw one. So he put that in my head, and then he just had my imagination bananas. Or did I see something? I don't know.
It, and that's what's nuts is that if you look at the story of El Cipitio and then you look at the story of Leper, it's almost the same story. Like so like leprechauns though, they can bring you fortune or a lot of misfortune, and they could ruin you. And then that's what the same thing with El Cipitio. Like, oh, if he runs away from you, it's his instinct. Like as soon as you're onto him, he'll run off. You know, it's like there with
Yeah.
a leprechaun, and there's a reason why his feet are backwards. He doesn't want you to find them because you don't know what happens if you catch him. But also, like, they can ruin your life, they'll ruin your crops, all kinds of things. Same thing with leprechauns. Um, damn, see, so many damn. Like I remember one time I was walking with my father, and we were walking. Time the moon was out, and my dad's like, "Be on alert, be on alert." And I was like, "What? Why? What's going on?" And I thought he was gonna say like, "Be on alert. This is a heavily like robbers area or highwaymen or gang members." But he was like, "I detect bruja. There's a bruja around here." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "So just stay close." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then we're walking, and he's like, very cautious. Aquí hay una bruja. And that's how he was. He was like very quiet and just listening. So he takes out his machete, and then he's like, so anyway, so just think. I remember silly things like that, like looking back now, and I'm like, I guess these are kind of entertaining, but also it's like that's kind of dumb, Like, but it wasn't to him.
It wasn't to him, right?
It
Yeah.
wasn't to him. Also, another thing is you don't go out when there's a full moon. Be-
That's my favorite night out.
so you don't
You
go out
know?
when there's a full moon because la carreta bruja is out there, and the something that we were. This is that we were supposed to end it here and go to the next segment, but La Carreta Bruja is very quickly, and the reason why I'm going to talk about it is because I had teachers in school that'd be like, "Kids, stay inside." It's like, why? Why is it? Why? I heard La Carreta Bruja last night, and I'm afraid it's going to be going down the streets tonight. So stay indoors. Stay away from the windows because if you see it while it's going by, it'll take you. You like get sucked into the car, and then you're one of the passengers. So the story, and this is an interesting thing, is that the it's almost like the culture of shamanism and the shamanistic, all that kind of stuff, never really went away. They just like gave the job to somebody else. So La Carreta Bruja became La Carreta Bruja when The story was, so there's a festival in San Salvador. It's called El Festival de San Miguel, San Miguel de Labrador. So you understand Labrador in there, Labrador. So he's like the paint of dogs and like workers. So and he's always portrayed as having a black dog with him, a lab, Labrador. San Francisco Labrador is his name. There you go. So every year, all these people from the fields, campesinos, they'll take their carts filled with like produce and also they have like money, and they'll take it to a Catholic to your local head over to your local Catholic church, and they'll head over to the local Catholic church, and then they're like, this is for you. The priest will bless it. Like, oh, we're gonna bless this cart. Now you'll have a good harvest. We're gonna bless this cart. And he takes the money, puts it in his pocket. And the story goes that one year this guy said, I'm not going to give you my produce and I'm not going to give you my money. I worked hard for this. This is mine and mine only. And he said, and some versions of the story said that he didn't say that. Some versions of the story said that he told them, I've already gave this cart to the devil. So then, ooh. So then the priest comes out and he says, I curse you now, and for all eternity you shall walk with your cart, and you shall collect souls, and you shall go. So there's a lot of entities in El Salvador where that's some of the stories. You know what happened to him, right? No, what happened? Well, they say that one time this guy was blah blah blah, and the Catholic priest came and cursed him. So it's almost like the Catholic priest became the shaman in the legends, and they just kind of like turned it to like, okay, it was a Catholic priest. He didn't want to do an offering, so he has magical powers now. And I'm get out of here. And no, I don't want to play Twister with you, you disgusting old guy. So anyways, so La Carreta Bruja goes to certain towns where there's no love, okay, where there's no love, and it's a man who has whips for arms, and he's got like a skeletal face, and his wagon is being either pulled by nothing or by skeletal oxen. They're walking and they're pulling it, and then he's there to collect the bad people. Or, this is my favorite version of it, because of course you're going to find out why. Or to towns where women are too naggy, or women spreading rumors.
That's awesome.
Time to go hop in the cart, I guess.
Hard, you nagging woman. So that's my favorite version of the story. So, and they're saying La Carreta Bruja is here. Why? Somebody is nagging their husband. So be careful. I really wish I died as a child. Are we back to the program? Are you okay? SOS. Are you
Okay.
what is going on? No, I'm going to show. Jeez. Anyways, all right. If we can get back to the show and we could act like adults.
Oh yeah,
Apologies.
Yeah. Jeez. See, this is why La Carreta Bruja outside your houses. You'll see. See, she SOS. Hey, Whiter's like, what? So
No, I actually just heard knocking on the door just now. I was like, what the heck?
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who are you? So, anyways, so this, yeah, so that's what they say. It's like, oh, somebody's nagging their husband, or there's no love in this town. That's but I prefer the nagging woman one. It's funnier to me. So that's it, guys. I mean, it's something that businesses will stay closed, and that's what's crazy. A lot of businesses that even gas stations, like even now, somebody's like, somebody heard La Siguanaba. Now they have cell phones, so now they'll actually call each other and be like, I heard La Siguanaba.
Uh,
La Siguanaba was
uh,
out. And then the biz like, yeah, like, forget this. I'm not opening up the store until the sun comes out, or I'm not opening up the store today. And then people will just take a day off. And even like in plants where like Sherman Williams, like the company Sherman Williams is in Ilopango. They have a huge company now. Even the damn, so this is so dumb. So somebody had heard La Ciguanaba outside in the parking lot, supposedly. So the plant manager shut down the plant for the day. He's like, yeah, we're not doing this.
so they just wanted a day off to go fishing, is what they wanted.
Yeah, with El Tabudo, are you kidding me? Well, I don't think so. So that's it.
That's wild. It's
that's
wild that the
that's
whole
all I got.
culture is ruled by that, and that you have like plants, these huge companies that will just shut down for the day.
Yeah, they'll just shut it down. They're like, we're not doing this.
That would never here. You're working in an F5 tornado's barreling down on you, and they're like, keep working.
It's like you have insurance.
Yeah,
Right.
Hold on to something. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah. We should cover witches on one of the couple of like the effects of witches and all that kind of stuff.
We should.
Yeah.
Yes, we should.
That would be cool. So, anyways,
I think it's what?
I was gonna say that it's just one of those things that it's like part of the culture, which I'm kind of proud of, yet kind of ashamed of. It's like, oh, you know.
I mean, it's part of your heritage. It's like the Celtic stuff, I mean, embrace it. It's part of our heritage. Whatever your heritage is.
Jungle beans.
That's what I tell my friends, their children and all that. Embrace your heritage, whatever it is.
I thought you were gonna call them jungle beans. I'm like, hey.
No.
Only I
can. Yeah. So it's just I think everybody should, if we don't tell our children these stories, the stories become lost, and they're important to the heritage of everybody. So.
Yeah, and it's entertaining. I mean, I had a lot more stories. For time, I can't tell them all. Maybe I'll tell them. Maybe I'll do like once in a while. Be like, you guys ready for the next?
Yeah. Just weave them into our segments here. So that'd be really cool. Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of segments, we have. Do you like that one? The Run Kill Crew segment. What do you got for us today, Haywire?
Well, I don't know how we feel about.
Oh, damn. Do that sound again.
Oh, wait a minute.
No, I was kidding.
No.
Oh, boy.
There you go. Can you hear it? Hear anything?
Yeah.
I don't hear it at all on my end, which is really weird.
Yeah, I can hear it. It sounds like me if I were to say like, guys, I have a terminal illness, and then the crowd just goes nuts.
Well, I can't hear it at all. I can only hear it when I'm messing with it before we start recording. As soon as I hit record, I don't hear it play.
Oh,
you gotta hope you're playing the right sound.
Yeah. Wait a minute. So hold on. We got one more.
What
Let's play this one.
What?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know how I can follow that. In India today, they released a pigeon that they had jailed for 8 months because they believed it was a Chinese spy.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I don't know why it took 8 months to determine that this bird was not a spy and that it was just a bird from Taiwan that somehow made its way over. But yes, they are very actively believing that birds are. So that's my funny news segment.
I think the way that I would do it is like if I suspected that something was like Chinese, and I first of all I would put it in a cage. Second, I would put things to see if they like repair them. It's like, is it fixing it or is it building it?
Right.
Throw in like nuts and bolts.
Sony TV or something.
Yeah, like there's a TV in there. Like, okay, we got to execute this damn thing. But it's like, nope, they didn't do anything. Not even math. Just let it go.
Yeah. Just let
Made
it go.
on Taiwan sticker on it or something? I mean,
Yeah,
what?
so it had 2 bands on its feet, and instead of
Okay.
like looking up like what the bands could actually mean, they just presumed it was Chinese writing. So
Well, it's India. I mean, when they're not
yeah,
trying to steal your identity, they're over there imprisoning birds, apparently.
for 8 months.
Bird. Well, at least they kept it alive.
I don't know why it took 8 months to release it.
Can you imagine when they released it? It had like tattoos and like joined a gang.
Teardrop.
Yeah, it had the tear. Like, there's a crow in there too, and it's like, hey, were you in here, fool? Oh, they're at. Yeah, I was hanging out, and they captured me, and they're like, hey, this fucker's got to be like from China or something. They just threw me in here, eh?
That's a plot life.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Why don't you and the homies get together and we'll get the fuck out of here?
My God. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Haywire.
Yes. Woo.
Good Dkon.
Huge build up for nothing.
This is the worst episode.
No.
I
I
hate
saved it.
now, but it's okay.
It's
It's okay. And Haywire has our new town logo flag on your shirt, don't
What?
you? Isn't that our new flag for Pocatello?
Pocatello?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right?
Yeah,
Represent. Oh,
she's
it's
not
a
gonna.
long story.
She's not gonna wear our merch, but she's gonna. Jeez.
You know,
Messed
whatever.
up like that.
Yeah.
It's
Just
a haywire thing to do.
She's
It makes
hanging.
no sense,
She's
right?
hanging in the dark.
Yes. Jeez. See, la carreta bruja's gonna pay you a visit.
I don't know. Haywire is strong enough to be able to fling it back, I think.
Oh, I don't think so. Not this thing. It's just gonna. What do you have there, carreta bruja? And be like, I got another dishwasher.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez. Anyway.
With that, I think we're done for
Oh,
tonight.
jeez.
Woo!
Oh man, I have to collect myself. This is so dumb. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us on another fantastic episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, was one of your hosts with the rest of these crazy people here that I don't know what I'm even doing here. But anyways, guys, remember to like and subscribe. Spread the show. You know, if you have a history of old age in your family, send it to somebody. You know, if you own a car, send it to somebody. You know, you don't have to live anymore with dry, chapped elbows. Anyways, so that's it, guys. And remember to always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves on Nightmare Road.